everybody could, there we go. If everybody could mute themselves unless you're ready to actually say something, that way we don't have any background noise going on. And I am going to share my screen. Let's see. Well, first I need to actually turn on my PowerPoint. There we go. All right. Can you see my PowerPoint? Yes, thumbs up. Can everyone see my PowerPoint? Yes, good. Okay. Slideshow. So I'm really excited about this year. I think we're going to have some fun. We've got a lot going on coming up when we get to the springtime, but right now we're just sort of rolling into fall, winter. I know a lot of you probably already been out on the beach, I hope. And so, and I honestly don't know that we have anyone new right now in the meeting, but because we're recording this, there's a chance we'll have some new people checking in on this once they get a link to the recording. So we're going to kind of go over some things you guys already know, but I'm kind of doing this a little differently. I'm going to kind of go through the logistics kind of quickly so that at the end, if there are any new people that have questions about stuff that you guys already know, you can feel free to log off, or you can stick around and listen to questions and answers and whatnot. So this first page is new because it has my name as the program coordinator. The easiest email to reach me is that Shorebirds email, which is the one that I use to contact you guys and send you all of your little emails. Program goals, you all are pretty familiar with this. We're here to protect the shorebirds. A secondary goal or another way to protect the shorebirds is to let other people know about them, let them know about their plight, let them know about why it's important to help the birds or what we need to do. Honestly, was just going through some old photos and saw videos and pictures I took about 5 years ago where I told Shep to ride his bike through that flock of birds because it would make a great photo. So, you know, we all need to learn these little things. And once people know, they hopefully stop doing those things. This statistic right here, which most of you know, that shorebirds have declined over 70% in the past 40 years. Red knots, it's worse. I think it's 85% for red knots. Sanderlings are doing really poorly. I mean, birds in general are struggling. Shorebirds definitely are struggling. But year after year after year, the studies are showing that if there's a shorebird stewardship program on a beach, that does make a difference for the birds. So you guys are making a huge difference. I honestly think sometimes that what we're doing is one of those things that has such a direct impact. Even, maybe you're not saving the whole species, but you are making a difference with particular birds and also with the people that visit the island. I honestly think that we kind of add an extra little special something for people when they're out on the beach and they see one of these expert people walking around telling them about the birds. Most of you guys are probably more expert than I am, but for any new people, you do not need to be a bird expert. I can tell you, I knew like 4 birds 3 years ago, and I'm learning them. We have the materials for you. We give you training, everything you need. And so really it's just a desire to go out there, help the birds, or just talk to people in general. This season is actually the beginning of our year. So we're sort of a school calendar kind of year, which has always been a little bit confusing because red knot season, flock watch, that's like, boom, that's where we kind of kick off the season. So I kind of like to think of this as sort of our soft opening. Because of the way that Audubon and DNR count the volunteer hours at the end of July, We start counting hours August 1st and we rotate back around to July 31st. So this is the beginning of our new 25-26 season, but not that it really matters a whole lot to you, but that's the way I'm counting hours for the year. But again, it's sort of a soft open because we're a smaller group of people. Typically, once we roll into red knot season, it's just like, fireworks are going off and it's just like we're having a grand time. And then nesting season. So you don't have to steward, obviously, all 3 seasons. Those of you who are here for this season probably stewarded in the fall and, in the spring and summer. So you're kind of used to it, veteran stewards. But you can choose the seasons that you want and take off on seasons that you just aren't here or you're just not feeling it. And for fall winter migration season, we have so many different birds on the beaches right now. It's a great time to get out. It's not overly hot. The crowds on the beach are much lower, so you have a better chance of interacting maybe with some people who are there specifically because they love this time of year, and getting to see the birds that visit our beaches. We'll go over this one because things have changed a little bit this year, but the dogs can be off leash until, I'm sorry, they must be on leash until October 15th, and beginning October 16th, they may be off leash. Remember, this means they must be under control. Of course, if there's a dog that's not under control, it may be difficult for you to catch up with them or their owner, but in general, as you'll see, the area from the beach club to the ocean course, we had a question from a steward recently. That area is off leash year round. So if you are stewarding on the east end and you were to go out there right now, if you were to go out on the beach and turn to the right, there can be dogs off leash there, and that is perfectly allowed and acceptable. So just be aware of that. But if they go beyond the no dog signs on the east end, beyond the ocean course, that's when you would want to speak to those people. And of course, down at Beachwalker County Park on the west side, there are never ever dogs allowed out there. And of course, on these red areas, that's where you're going to see the most birds this time of year. I can't see the whole list of who all's here, but if Pamela's here, she probably could tell us a lot about all the birds that are out on this side of the island on the east end. We're going to be doing a walk with Cammie Duquette in a week and a half, and we'll go out to Beachwalker County Park where you're going to see lots of birds. But of course, there's birds all up and down the beach. Anytime you're taking a walk, you're seeing sanderlings, obviously, and willets and gulls and all sorts of other birds out there. So the do's and don'ts, you guys, we want to be positive, enthusiastic, encouraging to people. One of the tips that, and I've forgotten her name, Betty, but the woman who was the coordinator before you, what was her name?
Bev.
Bev. So one of the things Bev suggested to me is to remind people that you don't have to be an expert. And if someone asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, it's actually better to say to them, hey, let's look this up together. Let's try to figure out the answer to this, either using your phone or grabbing some of the things in the doc box. We actually have some great things in the doc box. Cammie gave me a book that DNR had published that's not just birds, but all kinds of things on the beach. Because, when you're stewarding, you're coming across people who are asking about shells and, little things that washed up. And so it's great to give them an opportunity to say, let's look this up, let's try to figure it out together. So you do not need to feel like you're a shorebird expert at all. And we really are not the enforcers of the rules. And I know we say this every single year, but every year it's important to reiterate that we're here to share the information, share the rules of the road, but not try to enforce anything or be negative with anyone. If you do have a negative interaction, which I've never had that happen, it's so rare, just walk away from them, and you can call beach patrol. Of course, they could be on the other side of the island, but it's not your job to stop someone from breaking the rules. Um, we do not sign up for shifts. You can steward wherever you want, whenever you want, out on the beach, on the east end, west end, in the middle. We have the Google form where we submit our hours. This is stuff I'm going to go over at the end if we do have any new people. If you are new, I'll be getting you laminated materials and your ID tag. And we do ask that everyone complete at least 6 hours of stewarding. And again, since this is the beginning of the year, you have a whole year to complete 6 hours of stewarding. But that's just to kind of make it worth some of the efforts that we put into when we're laminating and purchasing things for you guys to use. And I kind of went over this. The dock box, which is at Beachwalker County Park, has all kinds of things, and I keep adding stuff to it. So we have tabling materials. I got us a wagon that you can put your stuff in. Some people are actually taking it out to the beach and setting up one of the chairs that we have on the beach, and people can interact with them there. I tend to table at the picnic tables near the snack shop area. But when you have all of those things, it's nice to have the wagon. The binoculars, of course, are awesome to have. And I also love, I have the little hand stamp that we give to the children. I think that and the horseshoe crab are the two things that stop people and have them come by and ask questions about what we're doing. I can give you the dot box combination. Actually, yeah, I think the only people who are going to watch this are stewards. So the combo for the dot box is play, Play. And just make sure that when you lock it back up, that you test it, that it really is locked before you leave. We are doing a walk. It'll be at Beachwalker Park on September 26th at 10:30 a.m. And whenever we have other walks, that'll be in our weekly newsletters or bi-weekly or however often I send those out. And after this meeting, I'll send you a follow-up email. So it's going to have all of the online resources that you guys have access to, our online manual. I have online copies of the laminated materials and just some other materials, especially for fall, winter. Betty and I created 2 years ago sort of extra stuff about the birds that you can use to kind of hone up on your info. But that'll all come in an email to you. And then once we have the link for the recorded version of this, I'll also send that. If you don't know how to use the online form for submitting your hours, let me know and I'll send you the instructions for that. The easiest thing for you to do is to put that on your phone. You kind of make it seems like a little app that's on your phone, and you just click it and submit your hours. So now we're just going to talk kind of quickly about the focal species for this season. And again, I'm going to preface this with, I am not the bird expert, so hopefully I don't say anything wrong here. And if I do, just unmute yourself and quickly tell me, Cindy, you got it wrong. But I'm starting with the easy one, the brown pelican. So I did know this bird when I first came to Kiawah. So this is one of those birds that's a great example of how people can make a difference, because the brown pelican was almost gone by the late 70s, and this from DDT. And so this is a good example of a bird that's rebounded, because it is not a threatened bird. It is doing quite well right now. You'll see that their non-breeding plumage this time of year is very different than what we see in the summertime. So they have that white head. And I'm looking at my little cheat sheet here, and I should have my glasses on. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't confuse this bird with any other bird that's here right now. I think isn't there some other kind of pelican that sometimes comes around, but it doesn't look anything like a brown pelican. So The laughing gull. Non-breeding laughing gull looks nothing like the summertime gull. He's got this little, I don't know what you would say happened to him. His poor little guy, he's just gone gray. So he's lost that black head, and he doesn't look like we saw over the summer. And we do have other gulls on the island. And so I try to line these up by size so you can kind of see the difference here. The herring gull, you're going to know when you see a herring gull versus a laughing gull because he's such a big guy. He looks like a big bully to me. And the ring-billed gull is pretty obvious because he's got a little ring on his bill. I think the Bonaparte's gull is one that maybe is occasionally here, but not a lot. So, and that might be a question for somebody who knows birds better than me. But, and does anybody, Jen or Betty or anyone, do you have any input on the Bonaparte's gull?
Yeah, you see them in the wintertime. I saw them in the last winter in the inlet a lot. They
Okay,
kind of play. They're a beautiful little bird, but they play in the waves and things.
thank you. Sanderling.
Cindy,
So this,
before you
yeah,
continue on, Anne mentioned white pelicans are come in
yes.
winter migration. So
That's right. And we saw the white pelicans out in the Ace Basin that one time. I guess they do occasionally come to Kiawah, but they don't look like the brown pelican. You would know it's a different pelican because it is pretty white. It's pretty pure white.
Just a
Um,
just a
yeah,
comment, Cindy. They migrate through here, and we see them in significant numbers actually, but
really.
usually on the Kiowa River, like over Rhett's Bluff area, and they're really big birds, and they have a huge orange bill and gullet kind of thing. So they don't look anything like brown pelicans. You're absolutely right.
Thank you. See, this is why I have my experts. You guys are awesome. You're invaluable. So the sanderling is a little sandpiper. He is one of the most common shorebirds. And today, when I was doing my research, I noticed that one thing that I saw was if you can learn the sanderling and the willet, those are good little two birds to help you kind of compare the other birds you're seeing on the beach, especially size-wise. And so the sanderling is this time of year, he's pretty pale. Hold on, let's see. My notes here say, oh yes, they are in serious decline as well. They are here year round, or we can see them year round, but a lot of them will leave when the red knots leave because they are also nesting in the Arctic. And then they'll come back in the late summer. In the winter time, they can be pretty territorial and they can be chasing each other around, which is actually quite entertaining to watch. And these little guys are the ones who kind of run back and forth. And as the waves go back, they're grabbing the stuff that was revealed from the waves. So you're seeing them running around. They have black legs and a black bill. The willet is bigger than the sanderling. And you tend to see them by themselves, or not by themselves, but they're not in groups, I guess, is what is, and they're looking for crabs and mollusks and things. So they're kind of probing around. And these are the ones that when they're flying, you see that like stripes under their wings that look really cool. And it says in my notes they have bluish gray legs. I guess that's true. They're definitely not yellow or orange. The Dunlin is smaller. One time I asked Aaron which bird we have more of than any, and he said the Dunlin, which I thought was interesting because I didn't know how to identify a Dunlin. And so I guess that half of what I thought were sanderlings were actually Dunlins. So they are different than sanderlings. You'll see them roosting on the ends of the island mixed in with those sanderlings. But they're sort of brownish and they have that speckle on their breast and their beak is one of the ones that I think I'm going to start looking for because they have this long curved beak, which is very different than the sanderling's beak. Piping plovers, we have, Betty had told me that we had all three populations of piping plovers on Kiawah, which, as far as I can tell, are the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, and the Atlantic Coast populations. The Great Lakes one is the one that was really, really, really struggling for the longest time. And Paula is our resident expert. Shep, is Paula on today? No? Okay. She had told me, because I know they had been down to an extremely low number of pairs, but they're starting to rebound. The piping plovers are the ones that tap their foot on the sand to try to get things to come up from the sand. And it says they typically, when they come back to our beaches, they will return to almost the exact same location every year. So I think when we get like, I've been following the Great Lakes group on Facebook, and they get very excited when one of their banded birds shows up on Seabrook or Kiawah. And so they tend to come back year after year after year. Then we also have the semi-palmated plover, which is, they're a lot darker than the piping plovers, and they have that grayish sort of banding on them. And the black-bellied plover, which does not have a black belly this time of year. So I wish we were talking about the breeding plumage, because I could describe it a lot better for you. The black-bellied plover is much larger than the other plovers, so that's one that is kind of and I have a page and a couple pages to show you the difference. And the ruddy turnstone, the difference between their breeding and their non-breeding plumage here as well. Their name turnstone is because they tend to turn things over like shells and stones looking for their prey. So and I pulled up this, I tried again to create something that shows you the size difference between these birds. So if you knew the willet and the sanderling and you had other birds nearby, you could sort of compare the differences between their sizes to help you identify them. But also you want to look at their behavior. So some of the things I've told you and some of the things that's in the laminates that we have, which talk about their behaviors, how do they feed, what do they do, that might be more helpful to you than just their size, their coloring, but also look at their leg color and the size and shape of their beak in relation to their head. And so that, to me, I realize now, yeah, of course, a Dunlin and a Sanderling have very different bills. This time of year, the Sanderling has that white belly, which the Dunlin does not. Those sorts of things will help you identify the difference between the birds. But again, if you don't know, that's okay too. I mean, I've had several times during like March where I'd be telling someone all about the red knots and then go, oh, those might not actually be red knots, but it doesn't matter. Let's talk about the red knots anyway. So it's fine to say that you're not an expert or that you don't know a bird or you misidentified a bird. Easy one, the American oyster catcher, also on our beaches this time of year. We have the largest concentration of wintering oyster catchers in the U.S. Atlantic coast. Almost a third of the population are here. And they, of course, are eating oysters, mussels, and clams with that big old beak. Their plumage remains the same throughout the year. The black skimmer's plumage also is pretty consistent throughout the year. These guys will lay like flat on the sand to cool off, and they tend to hang out with a whole bunch of mixed flocks. So these ones are easy. I actually never had trouble identifying those birds. Now I do have trouble between the Royal Tern and the Forster's Tern, but I figured it out today. So the Royal Tern easy has the orange beak, and the Forster's Tern has a black beak, no matter if their plumage changes throughout the year. The Forster's is also smaller than the Royal Tern. Does anyone else have anything they want to share about any of these birds that might be helpful to moose stewards?
Cindy, are you going to talk about where they'll see these different species?
Well, I mean, most of them are gonna be on the ends of the island, right? Like out on the east end and the west end, and just you're gonna see most of the sanderlings and willets and some of the terns occasionally on the front beach. Is
Yeah.
there something more specific?
Well, I would tell people or tell everybody that the if you're the want to do fall winter stewarding and you are a person who walks typically the front beach, then the birds you'll see on the front beach that Cindy's presented would be piping plovers, the gulls, willets, the semi-palmated plovers, and some terns are often tucked in with the gulls. But to Cindy's point, the rest of them that she mentioned, all the others are mostly found on the ends of the island. And so, you know, if you're a person that likes to go to the end, then you'll see more of a variety of species. But if you're just going to be a beach walker like me and just want to talk about what you happen upon, you know, when you're walking the front beach, then it really is fewer species and easier for new stewards to it's more of a handful of birds rather than the variety and numbers that you get on the ends of the island.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you, Betty.
Sure.
I just have a comment. You will see sanderlings down the length of the island, and I love them. They remind me of little kids running into the way towards the waves and back out again. And they're very quick, rapid runners. So they're real. I think sanderlings, from my perspective, are something you'll see in the front beach too. So
Thank you.
Has anybody beside me seen black-bellied plovers that still have quite a bit of the black plumage? I saw them at Headquarters Plantation twice in the last couple of weeks in the late afternoon. I've just ridden in, and every day is something different. One day it's a flock of white ibis, and another day it's a flock of geese. And I rode in late yesterday afternoon, and the height of the tide made it so that there were quite a few shorebirds in there. I got black-bellied plover, semi-palmated plover, semi-palmated sandpiper, and leaf sandpipers in there. That's pretty cool.
Wow. Wow.
I have seen black-bellied plovers that have black in their belly, but I haven't seen them for the last couple of weeks. Mostly I've only seen the non-breeding plumage. And a hint to those too is that they are very big plovers. They're stocky and they stand very upright. And so they look a lot different compared to the semi-palmated plovers, which are kind of hunched over a little bit and smaller and more delicate. You kind of look at them sometime and go, what the heck is that bird? Because without its black belly, you have to remember the other things that are going on.
Right.
It has a very thick bill, you know, kind of a heavy duty bill for a plover. So that helps me.
Or what are they? So what are they eating? Why is their bill that much bigger?
I don't know what they eat actually. Good question. Let's look
All
it
right, we'll look it up. Well, I'll answer that question in a follow-up email. How's that? That's yay. Okay, so basically that was my quick run through of our focal species. Of course, they're not the only birds out on our beach, but the ones that we're kind of asking people to keep an eye on. I will send an email later. If you are interested in stewarding the season, just email me and let me know you will be stewarding, because I'm going to create a new email list for this coming year, and I'm going to drop anyone who doesn't sign up. Now, all of those people from last year will be emailed again in the spring and given an option to sign up for Flock Watch. But for this season, I'll be sending out emails, follow-up emails. Oh, Jane, I like your little guy.
What is
So
he?
just, he looks like a piping plover.
All y'all know about these. If you have children, grandchildren, whatever, both of the Wild Birds Unlimited sell them. And because of my great nephew, little Michael, I have 19. He says we need one more to make 20. But this is one of my favorite ones.
He's adorable. I actually have one
It's
in our dock.
authentic.
I have one in our dock box that's banded with one of the bands for the Kiawah bird. Yeah. 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 So yeah, just send me an email. Let me know that that you want a steward so I can keep you on my email list for this coming season. Also let me know if you want to join our beach walk. And anyone who has any questions, feel free to ask them now. Anyone who feels like they know everything they need to know, you're free to go. But if anyone has any questions about the logistics of stewarding or any questions about the birds themselves, if any of my resident experts stay here for a little while, they can answer them. But other than that, I'm done with my whole spiel.
Cindy, this is Fran. I have a question on the Shorebird Steward app.
Yeah.
You know, I know how to use it. I put in my hours and so on and so forth. Is there some place where we can look to see how many hours that we've accumulated?
Yeah,
individuals?
I'm not sure if you can click it directly and see, you can get an email every time you submit that it will email you back that you submitted. But if you want to know your hours at any time, just email directly to me and ask me because I have it tallies for me. So it's like a 30-second thing for me to look it up and let you know how many hours you've got.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Cindy, this is Weston. I have a question about the email address. So
Yeah.
if I send the email to that address, am I sending to everybody or just to you?
It's just going to me.
Okay.
It used to go to me and Betty, but now it's just me. So yeah, you can write it and say, hey, Cindy, I know some of you have my other email address, my personal email, which you can email to as well. But this one is just going to me. And then when I send emails out to all of you, you'll see it's all BCC just to keep your email addresses private.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Dave Schultz. Quick question. Hi to everybody. I don't know all of you, but hello. In the past, Betty had maintained a text via the telephones. Are you planning to do that same thing just during the red knot time, or do you do it all of the time? That's my question.
We only do it during red knot season. That was generally, if there was a big flock of birds that we needed to steward. And she may change her mind, but Betty did volunteer to still be that person. So we'll wait until red knot season rolls around again and see if she wants to be our text guru.
I'll do it.
Anybody else got any questions? If you don't have any right now and you think of some, just email me and let me know, and I can get back to you with my answers as soon as I can, and I will try to find out what the black-bellied plovers eat. That's going to be my homework for today. I appreciate
Cindy,
all of you. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
I appreciate you too, Chef.
Yes, there's one new, at least one new steward on the line, and they may not know who Cami is and what the bird walks typically are. So could you give us a quick kind of rundown on what that is?
Yeah, so Cami DeCat from South Carolina DNR, depending on how many of us are there, will often let us jump in the back of her pickup truck, which makes going out to Beachwalker Park or out to the end of the island a lot easier and lots of fun. She always brings her spotting scope, and it's usually just a really, really fun adventure because you'll have different levels of experience amongst the stewards that are there. And not coming from a birding background, once you get around a bunch of birders, oh my goodness, they just go crazy. And so we're out there spotting all these different birds out on the beach, and then invariably people are coming by and somebody's always trying to walk right in front of that spotting scope. So it's a great opportunity for us to do some stewarding with people, have them come up and look through the scope and see what's out there. So it's usually a lot of fun. Whenever we do it at Beach Walker, we meet at the picnic tables right by the snack bar area. And yeah, if there's too many of us, we won't be going on the truck. We'll still do some walking out on the beach. And it's just a lot of fun. And we usually have a really good time. And I learn so much every single time I go out there. All right.
Cindy, can I add one quick thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Just as a fellow steward now, if a new steward here, or even any of you guys who are seasoned stewards but have never done the fall winter season, I just want to encourage you that I love stewarding this season so much because it's so peaceful. The weather is so glorious, and the beach is beautiful. And it's all you have to do, especially if you're unsure of the information or the knowledge you might have of these birds. It's so nice to just take a beach walk. And then when you run into any of these birds, which you inevitably will, if you see somebody else walking along, all you do is point out the bird and tell them 1 or 2 sentences about that bird. And that's it. And so if it's on the front beach, I just wrote down, there's 6 birds that we talked about, 6. And Cindy's going to give those to us in the laminated materials. And they don't want to hear a lot about those. You don't have to be an expert. I certainly am not on each species of the fall winter birds. All you want to do is tell them a few little things. And right now, I've been stewarding, and I'll take a walk, and I see just from Boardwalk 12 down to the Sandcastle, which I don't know what boardwalk that is, I see piping plovers, a number of them. Of course, gulls, willets, semi-palmated plovers, lots of sanderlings, terns. It's just, I guess I want to encourage you, if you haven't done fall winter stewarding, do it, because it really is a nice time. You're not having to tell people what they're doing wrong. You're just sharing a couple of little fun facts about what they're seeing on their walk. So that's all.
Yay. Betty, and honestly, she enjoys it every season, I know, but thank you, Betty, for your input, because it really is a fun season. I enjoy it too. And it's also a great time to see the dolphins right now too. They're very, very active. So, and we use that actually as a stepping off point to talk about birds recently, because people are going out to see the strand feeding, the mullet are running, and man, the dolphin are very active out there. So it's a great time to get out and talk to the people who are out there for the dolphins and say, there's something else out here you need to be looking at too. So, all right. I think we're good. I am going to.
I have a question.
Yes. Yeah.
What is the front beach?
Oh, just everything between the ends.
Okay. Everything between the East Beach and the West Beach.
That's my interpretation of what the front beach means. Am I wrong, Betty?
That would be right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
yeah.
Everything that's not Sam Spit and Beach Walker Park, and everything that's not the east end of the island, not necessarily East Beach, because that's
true.
So
would you say, Anne, like between the Ocean Course and Beach Walker Park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Let's be positive. It's the beach between. It's not that it's not something.
It's not It's between the Ocean Course and Beach Walker Park is generally the front beach of Kiawah Island.
Yes.
All right.
Sydney, do you want us to record these hours?
Oh, the training? Yes. Absolutely. This is.
Thought I'd remind you that.
Thank you very much. I would have forgotten to say that. Yes, definitely. And definitely, if you come to if you come to the litter cleanup on Saturday, count those hours as well. And it's a fun, the litter cleanup is litter cleanup, but you're not on the side of a highway. You're on Kiawah Island. It's lovely. And then afterwards, there is a nice little social event. Turtle Patrol has a massive number of people who show up for this. So I feel like we need to pull a little bit of our weight and show people that we care about the litter in the waters as well. So if you're able to come to the litter cleanup, it is at the Sandcastle, I believe in 9. But I'll clarify that when I send yeah,
9 to 12.
okay, yeah.
Are we wearing
Right.
our shirts? We
It
need
would
to
be
wear,
great
wear our
if,
silver
yeah,
shirts.
it would be great to wear your shirt to show that we're there and kind of make our presence be known, because everyone loves the turtles, but they need to love the birds too. So yeah. All right, any other questions? Are we good? All right, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you
Thank
later.
you all.
Bye.